If you need help with practicing your writing skills, check out these workbooks that can be useful in improving your academic writing skills. The link is in the description below. Let's talk about how to use all of the, and all the. Well, what is the difference between these three sentences? All pencils are made of wood. All of the pencils are made of wood. And all the pencils are made of wood. You can see in these sentences that we can use a plural noun by itself, as in the word pencils. Or we can use a plural noun with the article the in front of the noun, as in the pencils. The difference between these two can be explained in this way. If we're talking about all pencils, it's a general plural noun. We're talking about any pencil, all colors, all lengths, all shapes. All pencils are made of wood. In the last two sentences, we're talking about specific pencils because we have put the article the in front of the plural noun. All of the pencils are made of wood means that the specific pencils we are talking about are all made of wood. We're limiting it to just some specific pencils that we are talking about. All of the pencils on the table, all of the pencils in my pencil box, all of the pencils in the drawer. We are limiting the pencils that we're talking about in each of these cases. So what's the difference between the two sentences, all of the pencils are made of wood, and all the pencils are made of wood? All of the pencils, which includes the preposition of, is the correct grammatical way to talk about specific plural nouns. But in spoken English, we often leave the word of out of this phrase, and we just say all the pencils. Now, both of these are used in English. However, in written English, the first form with the preposition of should be used. So again, in spoken English, we can leave the preposition of out of this phrase, but in written English, we must include it to be grammatically correct. Let's talk about when we use the phrase all plus a plural noun. Now, you want to use this pattern when you talk about general nouns. All oranges are orange in color. This is when we use a plural count noun. We can count oranges. Not all water is drinkable is an example of a non-count water. We cannot count water. The phrase all of the plus a plural noun should be used when you want to talk about specific nouns. All of the pencils were green. Now, however, we can use this phrase also when we use a non-count noun in a sentence, as in this sentence. I used all of the water in the bucket. As we said before, we often do not include the preposition of in the casual or spoken English form of this sentence. So our last two examples would be like this. All the pencils were green. And I used all the water in the bucket. You will hear this used in spoken English, but it should be avoided in writing, especially academic writing. Let's compare these two types of sentences. One which is used when we're talking about general items, and the other when we were speaking of specific items. All oranges are orange in color. This is the general use. All of the oranges are orange in color. In this sentence, we're talking about specific oranges, perhaps in a basket of fruit that includes other kinds of fruit and other colors of fruit. Not all water is drinkable. Not all of the water is drinkable. In the first sentence, we're making a general statement that not all water can be drunk safely. In the second sentence, we're expressing that some of the water might be drinkable, but not all of the water is drinkable. I hope you can see the difference between talking about a general noun and a specific noun. Now, the same pattern can be used in the same way with these quantifiers. Almost all, many, much, some, a few, almost none, none. Now, here's a good chart to show approximate amounts for each of these words. Here are a few example sentences using these words. Many oranges are sour. That's the general statement. Many of the oranges are sour. That's the specific statement. A few friends can be helpful. This is the general form. A few of my friends can be helpful. This is a specific form. Now, one warning about some of the words in this list above. The words almost all should be used with the word of. Do not use almost people by itself. It should be almost all of the people. It's the same for the word almost none and the word none. Almost none of the people. None of the people. One more way that we need to be careful when using this phrase is when we use a pronoun. Let's take this sentence, for example. All the students had a good time. Now, this sentence is correct and can be used in casual or spoken English form. However, it's not correct when we use a pronoun. For example, we cannot say, all us had a good time. We need to say, all of us had a good time. The pronoun us changes the rules for this sentence, even in casual or spoken English. So one more time, how do we use these phrases? When we're speaking of something specific, something you can see or there's only one of, or you already mentioned it, then you need to use this sentence pattern. All of the pencils are made of wood. When speaking about something in general, one that you can't see or there are many of, then you want to use this pattern. All pencils are made of wood. When using a plural noun that does not include an article, the a or the, you need to follow the general rule, as in pencils. When using the specific pattern, you need to use the plus the plural noun, as in the pencils. Use the first pattern when you're speaking of general things. All pencils are made of wood. When you want to speak of specific pencils, you need to use the second pattern. All of the pencils are made of wood. Or, in casual or spoken English, we can say, all the pencils are made of wood. I hope you've learned how to use the different forms of these words correctly in English. Happy writing! And be sure to check out my workbooks that are designed to be used along with these videos.